Thank you for listening to the Living Zen-podcast. If you've been listening for a while and are wondering how you can take the next step in developing your own Zen practice, or how you can more formally connect with our community, please explore our online orientation to Zen practice, which you can find on our website at zenwest.ca. If you enjoy the resources that we make available online, we would very much appreciate your support. There are a number of ways that you can help us continue to do the work we do. One of the best ways is by becoming a part of our community as an associate. Your commitment of $10 a month will ensure that offerings like the Living Zen-podcast, eZendo, and our online orientation to Zen will continue to be available around the world to everyone with an interest in truly living Zen. To become an associate, please visit our website at zenwest.ca and click on Become an Associate. Many more Zen Talks are available for purchase on iTunes and at Amazon.com. Just search for Venerable Eshu Martin. These talks are also made available for free on our website for all of our members and associates. You may also want to download the Living Zen Podcast app, which makes downloading and listening to the podcast effortless. Thank you for your support, and thank you for listening to Living Zen. Tonight, just before I begin, I just want to pass along a few notes for practice. One of the really common things that I see when people come to practice, particularly when they come from another place. We've got a few people here tonight that have practiced at other places, clearly. And one of the things that we have to remember when we practice Zen is to dissolve. Our first order of business when we enter a new room, bringing our hands to gasho and bowing, it's not just a formality. The practice is to bring what we've got with us into the room and allow it to dissolve, to become one with the space, become one with the practice that we are engaged with. So when we come to a new place, whether that's a new Zen center, whether that's a new classroom, whether that's a new job environment, maybe we, worked in a coffee shop or something like that, worked in Starbucks. So now I left Starbucks and I'm working in the mocha house across the road. So when people order coffee, I don't continue to sort of refer to them by, talls and grandes and ventis. I use the language that's vernacular. I let go of being a Starbucks man, and I become a mocha house man. So this center, this practice group that we are engaged in tonight is a Rinzai tradition practice. And so regardless of what we come with, this is why we ask every person who comes in to come and do an orientation. And sometimes people say, I've been practicing Zen for such a long time, I don't need to do the orientation. But there's always something different. Every Zen center I've ever been to, there's been something different. And so the practice is to let go and to just go with it and to pay attention, not thinking we know everything, but to let go. So all this is just to point out a few things that most of all, when we're walking, when we're doing the walking meditation, as the Jikijitsu gives instruction at the very beginning, we place our hand, the right hand, flat on the abdomen, the solar plexus, just below the sternum, so that your forearms are parallel to the floor. And the left hand just comes and covers that, the thumbs cross. So it's a very relaxed, sort of like a pressing against the abdomen. So as you breathe in and breathe out, as you're walking, it's a nice erect posture, and you should just be able to feel your abdomen rising and falling. Now, I know that different traditions do this differently. But while we're here in this house, we let go of the past and we manifest harmoniously with the practice that presents before us. So this practice, so all of this for like 99.9% of the people in the room, what I've been saying is just kind of like over, what the heck is Anew talking about? But this habit, this tendency that we have of going into situations, circumstances, and environments fully loaded, already knowing everything, it's something that universally leads us to suffer. It leads us to be blind to what's really going on. When we're scientists, I know there's a bunch of scientists in here. It's especially important because when you go into doing your research, if you go in primed with what you're going to find, a lot of the time you're going to entirely miss what's presenting itself. There's a very famous, sort of popular, sort of chestnut in Zen book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And this is the complete foundation. I should say it's by a Soto teacher too. It's complete foundation in Zen practice. Every moment we have to contemplate, we have to investigate how we're approaching our lives, how we're approaching this breath, this moment, this interaction. Are we approaching it like we know what's coming down the pipe? Are we approaching it like, I think it's going to happen like this or it's going to happen like that? Do we walk into it as an expert? Or do we meet with it fresh, new, alive? One of my favorite quotes from this book is, I can't quote it, maybe I'll just paraphrase it. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. Each of us, as we go into each and every moment of our lives, each and every dynamic interaction in our relationships and interactions, we have this choice about whether we just hop on to the habit racehorse and sort of gallop along, missing what's actually taking place in our lives. Or we can take a moment to empty out this bag of expectations, this bag of hopes and fears and likes and dislikes and rights and wrongs and corrects and incorrects, drop them and enter into this moment empty-handed and fresh to see what's actually taking place in this moment. There's many ways that we can learn to do this. This very practice that we're engaged in teaches us this over and over again if we engage in it. How many times can we sit down thinking we know what we need to work on? We know what's going to come up in our meditation practice. We know our hurts and sorrows and hopes that will arise in this period of meditation. And over again, we can have the carpet pulled out from under us, and something entirely unexpected arises in practice. Now, maybe it takes a year or 2 years or 10 years, but eventually you come to recognize that when we sit down, the greatest sentiment that we can hold in our hearts is this simple, I don't know. Just a question mark. Sitting down and thinking, well, let's see what's on. This practice allows us to see what arises in our mind and in our heart. And it offers us a practice, a technique that we can engage with, that we can use to keep ourselves moving, to keep ourselves flowing with the dynamic activity of this moment. Not getting stuck, not getting fixated on thoughts or feelings that come up. Not trying to avoid or hold back what's difficult or unpleasant that we don't want to experience. This practice simply allows us to remain immersed, engaged, involved in the unfolding stream that is our life. This is a very pleasant way to do it. And it's the way that we engage with it here on Tuesday evening. This is a wonderful opportunity. As we practice more and more, and particularly when we engage with a formal community, and especially with a teacher, this invitation to be dynamically engaged with the spontaneous arising of each moment of our lives transforms from this passive offering. Come and just engage with this unfolding activity. And it becomes a challenge, a game, I guess you could say, where we will be moving along in our day-to-day business, in the zendo or in life, and we meet with another practitioner who says, "Hey, what are you doing? Hey, wake up!" And we have to be able to respond. We have to be able to let go, drop immediately the direction that we were headed in, and meet that person, meet that situation, meet that dynamic, unfolding activity wholeheartedly with all of our heart and all of our mind and all of our body. But this isn't just a Zen game. This is why we call it Zen practice. Because we also have a choice in our lives. We can walk through our lives asleep, from moment to moment, from relationship to relationship, foisting our expectations and demands for situations onto those that we make relationship with and to environments that we're walking through. Or, as we go through our lives with our friends, with our coworkers, with our loved ones, we can choose to let go in each moment of this big bag of expectations. We can learn to engage, to embrace, and to dissolve into the dynamic activity which is unfolding before us in each and every moment. Our lives are not this thing, this physical, tangible object thing. Our lives are an activity that doesn't wait, that doesn't solidify or calcify, but continues to unfold. So our challenge in practice is to meet it, to join it, to dissolve into it, and to manifest spontaneously and harmoniously as it unfolds. Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.